Remember those roughly 5 Assassin's Creed Shadows copies that Ubisoft sold, and probably 2 of were given away for free to people anyway? Yeah, that thing that probably made them a net total of minus 500 mil estimate in profits. Oh well, Ubisoft now is going to be fined for another 100 million because why not at this point? It is hilarious. Ubisoft is getting what they deserve, and that is no woke, no broke.
Ubisoft used to be a behemoth within the video game industry, and whenever we'd hear about them, it's because they were putting out a new product and it was being praised, and everybody was really happy with what they were doing. But now, whenever we hear about Ubisoft,
The good old days of Assassin's Creed 15. Oh yes, when the formula was still fresh, but everything changed on Assassin's Creed 16. People started saying, "Oh, isn't this the same game but just reskinned?" No, that's bigotry.
it's usually because they're making wrong decision after wrong decision or they're being sued. And now a privacy firm is filing legal complaints over data collection for forced online and single player games. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Ubisoft is in hot water from every single direction. They, of course, made that massive Tencent deal. Who knows what's going to happen?
They're gonna get sued. That's what's gonna happen. Again, I talked about this, but the Tencent deal is um let me explain how it works. You got the Gilmos, the ones who want to keep control of Ubisoft and all the profits and all the good stuff of it. Then you have Tencent, who have a huge stake in Ubisoft, and then you have literally everyone else. The Gilmos and Tencent decided to create a deal, create a deal that's literally only beneficial to the Gilmos and Tencent, and the rest of the investors can go hit dirt. Well, kick dirt, I guess. Kick sand, whatever. Okay, and well, needless to say, that's gonna get you sued because this is Europe we're talking about. Okay, it's gonna happen. They're gonna be sued, and Ubisoft is not gonna Ubisoft theft. Okay, it's not happening.
With that,
Keep in mind, Tencent is a literal government arm extension at this point of the CCP. And yeah, that just means by definition, Europe's not going to allow them to do anything. So have fun with that. So this is going to end up in a lawsuit because because the third party of investors are are not exactly happy that their investment goes to zero if this happens, and it's probably illegal. Okay? And either they're gonna force effectively Tencent to pay billions just so those people can leave the company and exit and make some money, some of their losses back, or nothing's happening at all. So, great choices.
now, we of course know that they've put out several games over the past 2 years that have been total failures. They've lost hundreds of millions of dollars on those games, and while they've tried to spin some of them as successes like Assassin's Creed Shadows, we haven't ever gotten sales
3 million players.
figures. We've only gotten players, and player numbers are far different than units sold, though we're just talking about Ubisoft
5 hours roughly after the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows, they were already giving away free copies.
being sued over and over again. We know that just a couple of weeks ago, Ubisoft claims players don't own their video games in an explosive ownership lawsuit over the crew. And
Well, Ubisoft literally said they don't even claim they just flat out came out and said you should be getting used to not owning your games. Well, Ubisoft, I'm getting real used to not paying for your games in that case.
well, now we have this situation that I'm sure they're not happy to see either. It says, though, a European privacy firm has filed a legal complaint against Assassin's Creed maker Ubisoft, citing concerns over the company's data collecting practices and the requirement of an online connection for single player games. Now, when it comes to the requirement of an online connection for single player games, if they were to lose this, this could reshape the state of the industry, which would be fascinating to see. I personally personally am not a fan of an always online connection for games that do not require it. I understand playing titles like Call of Duty, for example, or Halo, things like that. You're going to need that. But otherwise, if I'm playing, I don't know, Starfield and I'm not online and I'm not actually playing with other people, I shouldn't need it. Or Red Dead Redemption. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. And it's something that gamers have rallied against for years at this point. Unfortunately, gamers are fighting a lot of battles too right now when it comes to this online connection, ownership of digital media, and even kind of prices of games is a hot topic right now because of Nintendo going up in price for certain games. But it says based in Austria, the nonprofit NOYB, or the NOIB, the European Center for Digital Rights, has taken on the case of a Far Cry fan who contacted Ubisoft to find out what data it had collected. You see this? All it takes is one single fan for potentially severely damaging things to happen to a company. Now, I'm not saying that,
Good
we should
times.
constantly be contacting these different
We should. We should. Listen, there's one person's rights who stand above everyone else's, and that is my rights. And in your case, that's your rights, okay? I don't give a flying fuck what happens as long as my rights stay intact, as long as I have the ability, as long as someone's fucking me over, okay? My rights matter. Your rights matter more than my rights from your perspective, and that's completely fine. That's the way it should be. We should contact this, okay? Listen, Blizzard tells me mount and I don't get a 150% reimbursement on it. I'm contacting whoever the fuck I can now, baby.
centers and these different divisions with every single complaint we have. But when it comes to worries about things like requirements of an online connection and data collection practices, right, it really only takes one person to speak up. That's why I think it is so important that content creators like myself can provide this sort of information to you guys and do what we can for the state of the industry. It says, though, the firm alleges that Ubisoft has flouted GDPR rules and now risks a potential fine of up to 92 million euros or 78 million pounds, 4% of Ubisoft's 2.3 billion euro turnover last year. Eurogamer has contacted Ubisoft for
Turnover, not.
comment, but there is no comment as of yet. NOYB stands for None of Your Business, was set up by privacy activist Matt Schrems, who previously helped surface allegations of personal data being passed from Europe to the USA for use in the NSA's PRISM mass surveillance program. So we are not talking about a small little nobody organization or anything like that. It says, while playing prehistoric adventure Far Cry Primal, Ubisoft told the user it had obtained the kind of data you'd expect, information when the game was launched, how long it was played for, and when it was shut down, which are all very standard. Every single game is going to do this. Again, very understandable, but it went above and beyond because the examination of the data Ubisoft has obtained showed a connection to external servers 150 times in 10 minutes, NOYB claims, referring to this as a secret data collection. As for the need to connect online, Ubisoft told the user this was required to verify ownership of the game upon its launch, which is very standard.
What do you mean? But we don't own the game. Why verify anything? What do you mean?
Because you're basically not buying digital games, you are licensing them. And so they need to constantly connect to your PC and your internet connection and your just console, whatever you're playing the game on, so that they can potentially rip that license away from you if they want to, if you break their rules, because again, it's not like you actually own it. It says, though, they argue that's because the user's copy of Far Cry Primal was bought through Steam. The game could be verified through that without additionally logging into a Ubisoft account. GDPR law states that data collection should only take place if necessary, otherwise it is unlawful. Their complaint continues, an option that Ubisoft advertises to play PC games via Ubisoft Connect while off offline still requires an initial connection meanwhile. Now, of course, companies do protect themselves in things like end user license agreements. They are pretty good at that because they don't want people to be able to just come after them left, right, and center. But they could face fines here, and that could change the way a lot of companies actually work. Now, this is not the
Yeah, again, end users licensing is designed to protect the companies, but courts will ignore any unreasonable thing the company requests from you because they're designed to protect the companies to a reasonable degree. So, Disney saying that no one can sue them because you bought the Disney Plus free subscription once, you didn't even buy it, you just got it for free, means that you can never sue them, is going to get thrown out in literally every court.
the only kind of legal trouble that Ubisoft is going through right now. Of course, they have a major
Because if it doesn't, that means that they can demand anything in those in terms of service and whatnot. They can put in anything there, and if a people signs it, that means well, you're effed for life.
lawsuit on their hands with shareholders because shareholders are pissed at the Tencent deal. And we have them claiming that players don't own their video games in this explosive ownership lawsuit over the racing game, The Crew. So I have a feeling that because this Crew one only happened 2 weeks ago, and now we also have this privacy firm filing legal complaints, they probably knew that that legal complaint was going to be filed through that organization, NOYB. So they're trying to kind of cover all of their bases at once, like reiterate points. But it says in a newly uncovered court filing, Ubisoft has stated that players never actually own their copies of The Crew, but instead received a limited license to access the game. This is sadly what most companies do say, and the way that they want the industry to work. The declaration comes as part of an ongoing Ubisoft game ownership lawsuit filed in California after the company shut down the game server in March 2024, making it
Oh, the Crew discussion is so stupid. Absolutely hate it. Okay, the Crew had been online for like 10 plus years, and it had an average of 100 players. Okay, I think it's fair to shut down the servers after that, okay, mommy? Please don't be mad. Anyway, that was very dark. 10 out of 10. Bye.